Moments away from tip-off in Louisville, the Cardinals put their 3-0 mark on the line to go against a deep Western Kentucky squad at 2-1. We told you about the forward Charles Bassey in his junior season, and Tavion Hollingsworth at 19 points a game is also a force to be reckoned with for WKU.
Well, he is, and he comes in, you see that left thumb heavily taped that he hurt last week in South Dakota against West Virginia. Had that injury not occurred, I think they had a good chance of knocking off West Virginia. But this guy is a baller, man. He's just a tough, hard-nosed kid out of Dunbar High School over in Lexington. Gets about 6 free throw attempts a game. He's tracking to become one of Western Kentucky's all-time leading scorers. He'll get to over 2,000 points in his career. And if you don't stay down on his shot fake, he will go by you. Just a kid that is wired to score, and he does it well.
And he'll be on the floor just about every minute during the game. But they go deep, too. 9 players on this Western Kentucky squad average at least 10 minutes. Meanwhile, for Louisville, shorthanded, 4 injured players. They're down to 8 scholarship players to get things going tonight. So Jalen Withers ready to tip it off against Charles Bassey. The Hilltoppers on the road in the red, and Louisville here at home in the white.
Mike, if you're Louisville, you cannot come into this ball game too cool, because you're out of the ACC against a team out of Conference USA. The team in red can really, really play. And Chris Mack sent the message yesterday to his guys about the importance of this ball game defensively, how they want to play, and a really good start in the rotation for Louisville.
And a sign of the intentions offensively as well for Western Kentucky to get the ball inside, perhaps to see that early and often. So Johnson, as usual, starts in the backcourt for Louisville. They're looking for a step up from him this year. First bucket of the day belongs to Jalen Withers, the redshirt freshman out of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, coming off of a big game on Sunday night, 20 points and 9 rebounds, and a physical kid. This is a physical Louisville team. Not so much in terms of how tall they are, but just broad shoulders, strong-legged kids that can really sit down and guard. At least they better in this ball game.
This is Bassey from the top of the key. A spin down the lane, a fadeaway, and he misses. Scooped by Johnson.
Heavy ball screen offense by Louisville for number 1 in white. And there's the first one set, that 45-degree slot. Nice roll out of it. Just missed the layup.
Now Bassey got caught behind on defense, but Louisville comes up with a steal, and Slazinski puts it off glass and nothing more.
Boy, the recovery, length, and speed of Bassey is unique.
Former number 18 in the ESPN 100. And as you mentioned, a leg injury about this time last year is what shut his season down. December 7th of last season against Arkansas, and only got cleared for full contact in September to get back onto the court.
Good job by Western Kentucky. Louisville plays a no-middle defense. They almost force you baseline side, and Rick Stansberry goes corner empty to allow a baseline drive early in this game.
Western Kentucky coming up empty through the first 2 minutes. Louisville sets it up. Chris Mack says he's comfortable with David Johnson running the point. Carlake Jones as well.
Now, anytime Johnson works off of a UCLA cut, it's going to be a post-up opportunity. Western Kentucky smells it out quickly.
And Carlake Jones, when he gets the open opportunity from 3, will take it.
Yeah, what is he now? 4 out of 6 from the three-point line this year. Oh, only made 46 last year at Radford. I say only 46 because he shot the ball about 20 times a game. I still say you make him beat you from the 3 and you keep him out of the 2-point part of the floor if you're Western Kentucky.
Cooper looking inside for Bassey. This is Carson Williams. He's not the tallest player on the floor, but he might be one of the strongest, and Bassey shows off his ability to get the Hilltoppers on the board.
Mad at the rim early is Charles Bassey. Oh, my.
Just a glimpse of the explosive ability that he has. And in that game that they lost, their last against West Virginia, he only played about 3.5 minutes in the first half because of foul trouble.
Well, he's a special athlete for that size, and so impressed with where he is with his conditioning and his body coming back from a broken leg for a big guy, and that's the best athlete on the floor right there.
Josh Anderson, the senior, sprinting the floor and pulling Western Kentucky within one early.
Not only in this game, when Western Kentucky's playing anybody, you can almost say he is the best athlete on the floor. That guy is a freak athlete, a straight line, rip and drive, just go make a play type kid.
Slozinski with the look from the corner, and Bassie tried to go for the one-handed rebound. It bounces away, but stays with Hollingsworth. He squirms into the lane. 3 straight buckets for Western.
If you can't, and I'm talking about Louisville, guard your guy and stay in front of the basketball, you've got no shot in this game. Western Kentucky is a downhill driving team that then pounds you on the offensive glass.
Johnson was looking for the post up. Had his pocket picked by Hollingsworth. Off balance. Western Kentucky on an 8-0 run.
Really good read by Hollingsworth to know off the UCLA cut. Johnson's going to post up, and he goes baseline side. Gambles as a post defender, but when it was 100% sure, it was the right read.
All the scoring for Western Kentucky in about the last 90 seconds as the offense has gotten going in a flurry, and David Johnson snuffs it out.
Yeah, now 3 out of 10 from the three-point line. How good does Louisville shoot the ball for 40 minutes from distance? I'm not sure we know that yet. And Rick Stansbury told his guys yesterday, we're going to shrink the court. We're going to keep Carlick Jones and Johnson on the perimeter and make them make jump shots in this game.
Hollingsworth down the lane. And what a start for Western Kentucky as he gets the bucket, and he's going to go to the free throw line as well as they get up and down the floor, Jimmy.
Yeah, the athleticism of 4 in red just jumps off, and Western Kentucky off to a good start.
In the early going here inside the Yum Center, Western Kentucky by 2. Mike Cousins along with Jimmy Dykes. And after Chris Mack's team jumped out to a lead, Western Kentucky has leaped in front.
Yeah, Chris Mack was very generous yesterday to me, and he allowed me to watch film there with his guys in the practice facility, and that film session was real. It was on point. It was very clear. Chris telling his guys, competitive teams take ownership of their system. Well, Louisville's system is defensively, we guard the dadgum ball. We fight you all the time. We understand angles, and we are a competitive bunch of dudes. He was not happy with how that performance was on Sunday against Prairie View A&M. And he was very clear with his guys yesterday. If we don't show up tomorrow, as of tonight, against Western Kentucky, they will knock us in the nose.
Yeah, that Prairie View A&M game, they led for a good portion. I should say Louisville trailed for a good portion of the first half in that game. After their opener against Evansville, they won by 35. And then a victory over Seton Hall by just 1 point on Friday.
2 things make the game really hard. Offensively, the game's really hard if your point guard can't shoot. Just a lot of things don't go well if that's the case. Defensively, if you can't guard the ball, nothing goes well on the defensive end of the floor.
Well, Western Kentucky has shown quite an ability to do that so far. Louisville has it taken away,
Nice.
Quickly earns it back. A spin move to the bucket for Dre Davis.
I really like Dre Davis. Just a big, strong, physical kid. His dad was his assistant coach in high school. He wasn't catered to. Not every offensive set was run for him in high school. He knows how to play the game with good players. Has a tremendous future.
So Davis coming in to replace Slozinski at that first timeout. It's a very young lineup for Louisville on the floor. Tavion Hollingsworth, the last 6 points for Western Kentucky. These drop for Carson Williams.
Well, you know Carson Williams can shoot the ball. Another former Kentucky Mr. Basketball. There's 3 of them on this Western Kentucky team. And I say that because there's a little extra chip on these guys in red, because when you grow up in the state of Kentucky and you don't end up at Louisville or at UK and you go to Western Kentucky, there's a little bit of I've got something to prove in a game like this.
And this WKU squad is no slouches coming in here either. They're picked to win Conference USA for the 3rd straight season.
Yeah, Mike, they're a real team. I was very impressed when watching them in South Dakota last week, and then yesterday for 2 hours in the Yum Center watching them work out. There's no fear out of these Hilltoppers. There's an older, experienced, tough bunch.
It was Jones going to work. The follow no good from Davis. They've got to get back down the floor and be able to communicate against a Western Kentucky squad that wants to run on them. They've got Bassey inside. Don't even have to feed it to him every time. Sometimes the ball finds him. He scores and one.
Yeah, the ball finds him because he is so active and so quick. And those big, broad shoulders, he just throws people out of the way, man. If you're not a grown man, just go ahead and sit out and check out of this ball game because 23 in red is going to own you. And, you know, Cooper fired up what I thought was not a good shot. He's not a good three-point shooter or shooter at all. But Bassey's the kind of guy that can bail out a bad shot because he's got great hands, soft paws, and tremendous strength to go through traffic.
They're coming off the loss against West Virginia. You go to their second game. He had 7 blocked shots in that win over Memphis, most by a Western Kentucky player in the last 9 years.
Rick Stansberry knows that he's got a special young man right there in Bassey. He's extremely smart. Like when you go back and grade the film, he thinks the game, Bassey does, like a point guard. And that's a play or two or a pass or two ahead, and that's a rare combination with that type of a big body.
How does that separate him from, let's say, the average post player in college basketball?
Well, I think it does because he reads the game, talking about Bassey, who's on the bench right now, but he reads the game like a high IQ point guard. He knows where the offense is supposed to flow. He anticipates defensively a pass or two ahead and keeps him in the right position. Like you asked me earlier, other than Carlik Jones, where's the offense come from? You'd expect Johnson. The Withers kid has been producing the last game or so, but Chris Mack right now trying to figure out himself what is the best way for Louisville to play offensively right now.
So Johnson to the corner finds Davis. He launches and he's got it.
I really like Davis. He doesn't take bad shots because it's a little bit of a set shot. And those kind of guys have to take open shots only. He understands it. He wasn't spoiled coming out of high school. Just kind of a foundation piece that Chris Mack can build his culture around. And he understands it well, 14 in white.
11:36 in the first. The visiting Hilltoppers by 2. And the upsetter Western Kentucky at a Conference USA, the preseason favorite in that league for the 3rd straight year. On top of Louisville, picked 5th in the ACC preseason this year by just a pair. Last year when they met, it was a Louisville 71-54 victory, 25 points from Jordan Wara. It is a different year this year for Louisville.
Yeah, that older squad of Louisville last year showed up with a message to send. Louisville jumped out 30-9 in that game last season, and a different start this year altogether.
From the free throw line, 1 dribble, and Johnson goes strong to the bucket.
Yeah, Johnson he's really good operating inside the defense, and especially against a zone defense because he sees the floor like a point guard. At 6'5", he's a big target. But I think one thing that has helped him this year, talking to Chris Mack, Carlik Jones is so good off the ball screen action, and he plays with such a nice controlled pace. David Johnson has learned to kind of slow down a little bit and read the game at a higher pace than he did last year.
Up ahead for Louisville, they've got UNC Greensboro. That's Friday, 2 Eastern, right here on the ACC Network. And then Kent State will take on Virginia, which was the Virginia that many expected today as they took care of business against St. Francis, PA, 76-51 at John Paul Jones Arena. On the drive, an uncontested path to the hoop for Jordan Rawls.
Got to guard the ball. You have to guard the ball. If you go back and let's just take player A off of a team, and if player A is responsible for guarding the ball 10 times in a game, and he gets beat 6 of those 10 times, he grades out at 40%, you can't win a ball game. You've got to grade out at 75, 80% as a one-on-one defender if you're going to beat a good team. And that is an area that Louisville has struggled with last game and at times so far in this one.
Is the standing in front part a matter of discipline and staying in a stance, communication? Where do the breakdowns happen?
All of that. Toughness and understanding fight and understanding that You have to mentally guard the ball with a I don't have any help behind me mentality, knowing that you actually do. It's all those things together, but man, I'm telling you what, it doesn't matter what you do defensively. If that ball goes by you on a straight line drive, you've got no shot to beat a good team.
Bassey wipes that away, and up and in for Aiden Igehan. Was waiting on the opposite side and takes advantage with Bassey cleared out.
Yeah, Carlik Jones, I love his game, man. This kid is slick. He gets in there at 6'1". He leads Louisville in rebounding. He misses the first one. Bam, goes and gets it. Watch. That is a slick move and great vision. Really, he felt where Igehan was as much as he saw him, and that's what an experienced guard, that's how they play the game.
And that's just as a guy who stands 6'1", a matter of will and desire to lead your team in rebounding, right?
Yes, absolutely. What I love about this kid is he comes from Radford, a program that doesn't have all the bells and whistles of a Louisville. And number one in white comes in, and Chris and I were talking about it yesterday, with a very appreciative attitude, very grateful for everything that an ACC program has, from all the gear to the nice locker rooms to the huge arena. All those things, and we take those things for granted, those of us that are around the power conferences all the time. But you take a kid like Carlik Jones, Mike, that transfers in, and he brings such a sense of gratefulness and joy for what he has. Man, that is a tremendous message that he's sending to the entire Louisville team. We should all pay attention to that, by the way.
Well, he said that as he was growing up, his favorite team was Michigan State. Grew up in Cincinnati, but he did go to Chris Mack's basketball camps as a kid at Xavier. So it's good to see that come full circle for him to be able to finish out his college career here in Louisville.
All season long, stopping Carlik Jones is the number one priority when you play Louisville. It's not going to change.
Bassey gets it in the post. The double team quickly comes, and so does the kick out. Good look for Davion McKnight.
Good job by Bassey, because there's a horrible pass that was thrown to him, but he was able to secure it to keep the play alive.
Well, not a great pass for that alley-oop attempt either.
No. So that conversion offense, when you're coming fast, is not the time to show us how good you are, how skilled you are with the ball. Make the right simple play and keep your team in the play.
This is Rawls. Three is good.
And Rawls can shoot the ball. It's an attacking, confident shooter off the bench. Only 6'1", but nice rise and release.
It's a young group on the floor, all underclassmen, with the exception of Jones, who controls and sends it off for Traynor. And a shot clock violation for Louisville. Their spacing was discombobulated. No flow on that possession.
Rick Stansberry went from man-to-man to 2-3 zone when the shot clock got under 10. That's something that they will do. And Louisville didn't recognize it quick enough. That guy right there can flat-out coach. I've known him since his days back at Mississippi State. He knows how to get players, but the dude knows X and O's as well as anyone.
Bucket is good. It stops almost a 3-minute drought as J.J. Traynor scores. When Louisville comes down the floor, the defense changes. What's the first thing that needs to be going through a point guard's head?
Well, he's got to see it, and it's the timing of when Western Kentucky goes from man to zone is so good, and it's different from one game to the next. It might be on a certain touch, on a certain possession, but they can confuse you. It's hard to recognize, Mike, when the defensive change occurs within the possession.
Johnson goes hard to the hoop. One of the points of emphasis for Chris Mack has been going to the basket, drawing those fouls, taking advantage at the free throw line, something that Western Kentucky does very well.
David Johnson is right-handed, and he goes right and righter. He goes right, and then he goes right again. And now, can he go left? Yes, he's on scholarship at Louisville, but this guy is wired to go strong right hand, and I think you have to sit on that right hand. I know you do, and make him prove he can make play after play going to his left. That time he got to the right paw, and you see the result.
And that'll be something once you get into the conference schedule, you start to see a team for a second time, third time as you get into the conference tournament season. They're going to take away the right hand.
Absolutely they are. Again, if you're Western Kentucky in this game, when this kid has the ball, you shrink the court on him and you keep him out of that 15-foot and down mark. Very similar to how you need to guard Carlik Jones.
This is Kenny Cooper, the transfer from Lipscomb. Bassey is liable to shoot that from at the top of the key. As he finds Williams underneath, and it stays with Western Kentucky up 5, posing a formidable challenge to Louisville. 7:51 of the first. We're so glad to have you here with us today. Western Kentucky and Louisville inside the Yum Center. Tavion Hollingsworth, 19 points a game for Western Kentucky. He's just sat almost 5 minutes. He is battling a bit of a thumb injury that he suffered against West Virginia, the elbow bothering him as well, so perhaps that's part of it. Nevertheless, Western Kentucky has still scooted out to a 5-point advantage over the Cards.
You look up and Carlik Jones has 3 points in this game, and Western Kentucky knows that that's where it all starts if you're trying to take down Louisville. So far, they've done a good job on their ball screen coverage, their ball screen defense, and there's 3 parts to it: the coverage, the protection, and the recovery. And Western Kentucky has been good at all 3 phases so far on Carlik Jones.
That's forced the ball into the hands of David Johnson a little bit more. The Louisville foul there charged to Aiden Igyehan, his first. Long inbound ends up with Hollingsworth. Last year, a first-team All-Conference USA player, preseason All-Conference team. This is Bassey trying the 3. Tough rebound for Williams. Underneath, looking for Bassey, and it's intercepted by Johnson.
Yeah, good instincts by Johnson to cut right to the rim, knowing that that's exactly where Bassey was going and the ball was intended. Western Kentucky committing 2 to the coverage. They are protecting behind it with 3 in a zone, and then they scramble out of it well for the recovery. Those are the 3 parts of ball screen defense: coverage, protection, and recovery. Now, big boy rebound.
Bassey grabs yet another, already his 5th of the first half.
Bassey on the block is a problem. And Louisville knows it, and it's more importantly, does Western Kentucky know it? Because 23 on the perimeter is exactly what Louisville wants to happen.
Bassey set a ball screen earlier, but watching him exclusively on that possession, he's just hovering outside the paint.
Yeah, way too much. And Cooper's fired up a couple of perimeter shots that he doesn't need to take. I mean, 21 in red is not a shooter at all. He's fired up a couple of quick ones. And the reason why 21 in red is not a good shooter, the next time he shoots, he's a left-handed kid, Mike, but the ball goes up on the right side of his body, and that's almost impossible. And there's that length and recovery speed and quickness, not only of Bassey, but Josh Anderson can just eat you up, man.
On the inbounds, perfect underneath for Jalen Withers.
Withers has a physical game about him, doesn't he? Free throw attempt leader for Louisville. Coming off in a 20-9 game. Getting a lot of minutes with all the injuries that Louisville has right now.
And Chris Mack gave him well-deserved praise. Said, he did a good job catching passes in traffic, finishing, and being much more engaged and ready on offense. Down the floor, Davis gets the lay-in. Louisville is back within 1, as Western Kentucky hasn't scored in more than 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'm putting it on Cooper a little bit from Western Kentucky. He's fired up a couple of bad jump shots, and that time he drove without a purpose into traffic. I would not be surprised at all the next dead ball that 21 in red checks out, and Rick Stansberry sends a pretty good message.
Hollingsworth uses Bassey for the screen. The big man rolls. The guard fires. And now a 7-0 Louisville run has a chance to grow.
Yeah, well, Louisville's guarding the ball now. It's been a while since Western has had a straight line drive, and That pack defense is working, and a really nice rise-up shot by Carlik Jones, and the Cardinals are on a nice run. Well done.
Makes it 10 straight for Louisville. 30-second timeout, and we're coming right back to the Yum Center. Louisville's offense has come to life. They've scored 10 unanswered over the last 3.5 minutes to regain the lead against Western Kentucky. Jimmy, what's been the catalyst at the heart of this run?
Yeah, it's been their defense. And from about the first media timeout till now, Louisville has tightened things up. Louisville is a gap heavy, so they sit in the gaps. They play with an open stance. They see the ball, and they really fight you to keep the ball from a middle drive. And they've done all four of those things really well, I think, during this 10-0 run.
Bassey makes the catch at the top of the key. With a guy as skilled as he is and as big as he is, are you surprised that they're not getting it to him on the block more?
Yeah, I mean, he's playing 25 feet from the rim, and the guy's 6'11", 255, and going to be a first-round pick. That right there is where he belongs. He got sped up that time on the offensive rebound, and I tell Bassey, for about the next 4 minutes and 36 seconds, get on the box where you belong.
They looked for him underneath on the first possession, and ever since then, the touches he's had have been about 14 feet and out from the basket, save for an offensive rebound.
They have. Now Louisville has fronted him. They have fought him, but you can't give up the fight if you're Bassey just because it's tough down there. Get involved in the fight.
Catch of the left block, swiftly rejected by Bassey. It's those spark moments of athleticism and sheer skill you see from Bassey that make him a next-level prospect.
Yeah, he got doubled up. He dribbled out of the double team and then settled for a three-point shot.
Bassey and Frampton with a couple of missed threes. McKnight the chance to reset. Shot clock dwindling toward 10 for Western Kentucky. Hollingsworth left his feet. Found a teammate behind him, but then McKnight traveled. And the troubles continue for the Hilltoppers. Coming your way Thursday, 6 Eastern, a great women's hoops game. Notre Dame takes on Michigan. Kim Barnes-Arico, now in her 9th season, has taken the Wolverines to the postseason every year. It's year number 1, life after Muffet McGraw in South Bend for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And Niele Ivey got the first win of her tenure just a couple days ago against Miami, and they'll look to tack on to that Thursday as they take on Michigan here on ACCN.
You know, Mike, when you're down to 8 scholarship players, a coach's sometimes instinct is maybe to back off just a little bit. No. Chris Mack's not going to back off anything. And actually what he told his guys yesterday was that I'm not going to lower the standard in terms of what we can control, and that's our talking and playing hard. And they have done that over the last, 5 or 6 minutes. And you look up, and Western Kentucky 0 for 9 from the field over that stretch for 3 turnovers. And it's been Louisville defense that has kind of changed this game.
Yeah, as U of L has gone on this 10-0 run, 5 different players have scored to put them back in front.
Bassey with his 9th rebound. He's rebounding the ball, 23 in red. 1 rebound every minute and 35, 40 seconds that he's on the floor in this game. That's an incredibly high rate for this guy rebounding the basketball. Can they get him involved scoring is the issue right now for the Hilltoppers. Yeah, it's just easy for Bassey. He doesn't leave his feet first because he knows not only can he jump quicker, he can jump higher than about anyone in college basketball. His timing and his discipline to keep his feet on the floor until you leave is unique.
This is a team that has shooters. They can space the floor. If you're drawing up plays, here as they get the 5-second violation, so Louisville gets the ball back. But for Western Kentucky, you're drawing it up. How do you get the ball to Bassey to best optimize his ability?
Yeah, I think you got to move him around a little bit, and you have to move Louisville's defense first of all. If you're going to drive him, you got to move him first and then drive him. But the same type of action has to be for Bassey. Can you back screen him to the block? Can you cross screen him inside? And because if not, just throwing straight fastballs at Louisville's defense, as good as Bassey is, it's not going to work.
Wide open look for Ikyehan. 29-25. Jalen Withers, a couple moments ago for U of L, picked up his 2nd foul. So He sits. He's the only player in the game with 2 fouls. Western Kentucky as a team has only fouled twice. But more than 6 minutes without a bucket for the Hilltoppers.
Yeah, you got a double low post offense, so it's almost impossible to make a wing entry because that help side defense is on the backside just sitting there waiting on it. That's over.
And Bassey with a drop step and the easiest finish of the day.
But you see what happened? Western Kentucky, Mike, they got the ball, I believe, to the third side of the floor. So they moved Louisville's defense, and then it allowed Bassey to get an operation in a space on an island.
So Bassey's got 7 points, 9 rebounds in the first 18 minutes of the game. Jones with a pull-up. Too much on it. And a foul on Igehan, and that's his second for the sophomore for Louisville.
You know, Igehan in a normal rotation with healthy bodies is probably I don't know, he might be a 6 or 7 minute a game guy, but right now he's in that 15, 16, sometimes 20 minute a game rotation just because they need his body.
Louisville had been down 3 players, the big man Malik Williams, Charles Minlin, the grad transfer from San Francisco, and Josh Nickelberry as well. But Chris Mack said, we don't feel like Nickelberry will be able to play during this event here, this multi-team event. And then Samuel Williamson out today as well after he didn't play on Sunday after a dislocated big toe on his right foot in Friday's win over Seton Hall.
And that's a big loss. I think he's a double-figure scorer. That last basket by Western, Bassey should get a screen assist because he sealed off, screened 2 defenders, and allowed Davion to get downhill. Davion McKnight, 20 in red.
So a minute to go in the half, Louisville by 3. Bassey got pressured and traveled.
Well, Bassey can get frustrated at times because Chris Mack's throwing 2, and that time 3 guys were involved coming to the ball once he caught it. And you have to recognize that if you're a post player. But there's the previous possession right there. See the screen off? That's a screen assist from the coaching standpoint. It just carved out space in an alley for Davion McKnight to get downhill.
It's the type of play that won't make the box score, but it will make the praise in the post-game film. Bassey's already got 10 boards. Well, when he gets that space, he takes that look. However, he's yet to connect on a 3. He's 0 for 3 from deep.
That time, Bassey guarded Bassey. And I say that because there's so much time left on the clock. He comes down in the trail position, and Louisville's saying, please take that. Do not get your big body down on the box where we're having to scheme and run 3 guys at you. And he settles for the shot again. A little bit of look of offensive frustration right now out of the what I think will be a first-round draft pick. He's still rebounding, Mike, at 1 rebound every 2-minute rate in this ball game, which is superb.
Bassey 7 points, 11 rebounds, but not enough to put Western Kentucky in front just yet. They led by as many as 8 in the opening 20 minutes, and Louisville has a chance to lead by as many as 6 going into the locker room. Jones initiates off the Slazinski screen. On a drive to the basket, he creates separation, puts it high, and a couple of tips do not go. But we've got a whistle that precludes the buzzer at the end of the half. And the foul on Josh Anderson of Western Kentucky to put J.J. Traynor at the free throw line.
And that's a big foul to close out the half. When did the foul occur is what they're looking at, and then how much time will there be, if any, remaining in the first half. Carlick Jones that time to try to close out the first half, had a ball screen to work off of initially. It didn't clear him up, so then they just kind of spread the floor and let him go one-on-one. And where's the foul occur? It's on 4. They call it on 4 in red on the right side of your screen, correct?
Yes. As you can see right away, the displeasure from Anderson getting the foul called against him.
That's what I'm talking about. They just let Carlik Jones go one-on-one without a ball screen defender involved. And the foul occurs. It's almost simultaneous to me with the triple zeros on the clock. Maybe 0.3. That's about it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's what gets left. Well, Trainer came up big for Louisville in that win against Seton Hall with a bucket down the stretch to help get the win. And they're trying to put more food into his body to add some weight to his frame. Says he's eating almost every 2 hours,
How about that?
including a protein shake before bed.
I read that he's eating every 2 hours. They don't beat Seton Hall without him closing out the game with an inside basket and a tough rebound at the end. Good half for Louisville defensively after the first 4 minutes. Chris got his guys' attention. They reset who they are with their culture in the timeout. They defended their rears off ever since.
So Louisville up by 5 after trailing by as many as 8. Coming up, Kelsey Riggs back in the studio. Get you caught up the day in college hoops. Welcome back to ACC Network Basketball, presented by Geico, as we get ready for the start of the second half inside the Yum Center. Louisville up 34-29 over Western Kentucky, making a strong push in the final 8.5 minutes to take the lead into the break. Mike Cousins along with Jimmy Dykes and David Johnson for Louisville, 11 points, the leading scorer in the first half.
Yeah, the young man played a beautiful 20 minutes. Chris Mack never took him off the floor because he's playing so well at both ends. He's been the trapper at times, the rover defensively, and he's made a couple of threes in this ball game. You look back last year, young man only made 7 threes all year. He's already made 4 this year and 2 in this ball game. But no, he's thrown the ball ahead nicely. He's really doing about anything he wants to do on both ends of the floor. That combination of Johnson and Jones, you're going to have to deal with all year. But David Johnson, just a big physical guard that with 11 points and 4 assists and no turnovers in 20 minutes. That's about as good a half as he's had so far this year.
Points in the paint. 6 of those came early from Tavion Hollingsworth. He spent a good portion of the first half sitting, and we remember that he's battling with a taped-up left thumb. 20 rebounds, though, 12 of those belong to the big man, Charles Bassey.
Mike, when you're on the road like Western Kentucky is, and you've got a 6'11" potential All-American, and you've only taken 2 free throws the entire ball game, talking about Western Kentucky, something's wrong with your offense and with your shot selection. Western Kentucky last year was the best in the country. They made more free throws than their opponents attempted by like plus 136. They've only taken 2 free throws in this game because of their lack of offense. Louisville's defense has been good, but Western has got to get back to being who they are.
Carlik Jones steps to the basket and scores. So they weren't able to contain him there. How did you feel like Western Kentucky did in the first half of staying in front of the guard?
Yeah, a pretty good job. I think Western's ball screen coverage has been good enough to win in this game. And they've just been broken down at times, just one-on-one, man-to-man. And that goes back to my point in the first half. You can't guard the ball, you can't win a hard game.
And as they tried to post Bassey up, spent a little bit too long in there. Lee Cassell whistling him for the 3-second violation.
Well, Bassey has to understand in the first half, he took 3 3-point shots. So in Louisville's eyes, Bassey guarded Bassey on all 3 of those possessions. He only took 5 2-point attempts.
That's back-to-back buckets for Jones to start the half.
Chris Mack getting exactly what he wants in the first minute of this second half. Just run him off that high UCLA elbow cut, lift your offense, get a layup, and keep the momentum going that you established to end the first half. Well done by Chris Mack.
And they get a little boost there on the carry called against Rick Stansberry's squad. 5th-year head coach with his team picked to win Conference USA, but a scoring drought at the end of the first half has continued here in the second.
Yeah, they look to be, Western, the best team in Conference USA. North Texas, Old Dominion, Andy Kennedy at UAB brought in a lot of good talent. Marshall's got a lot of guys back, but this should be the team to beat in Conference USA in January, February, and early March.
And North Texas, the only other team to get consideration with first-place votes.
The first mistake, the first mistake that 13 in white really has made in this ball game. Just tried to throw a wraparound pass. It got away from him. Where does Western go on this possession offensively? If it's something good, they've got a chance. If they're still confused and don't know what they're trying to do, this lead's going to continue to grow for Louisville.
Bassey dribble handoff to Hollingsworth, and he gets called for a charge. It's been a Murphy's Law first 90 seconds of the second half as everything goes wrong for Western.
Yeah, it has, but look at the great job by Davis to slide over and get himself set and still, because you know Hollingsworth is a guy that will float and will charge if you get in position. Just a grown man play by Dre Davis on the defensive end.
Hollingsworth, a great scorer, a top 15 active scorer in college basketball. Carleek Jones just a few spots ahead of him on that list for Louisville. On the drive, Bassey with the emphatic rejection. And now an offensive foul coming down the floor. So when one thing goes well, another thing goes poorly for the Hilltoppers. Carson Williams, 6'5", 240, perhaps stronger than he knew.
Well, that's not going to work, going right into the chest of Bassey. On the way down, Carson Williams right there at the top of the screen gets caught for the high elbow and the trip. And just when it looked like something good was going to go happen for the Hilltoppers, they find their rear ends back on defense.
You know, we saw that block from Bassey. The difference between the blocks that he gets as he alters that shot, some just get the ball with their fingertips. He gets it with the whole palm.
or his elbow.
Hollingsworth helps turn the tide, gets Western Kentucky within 7.
You know, I feel like, and Chris Mack probably does too, if he can get his defense set the remaining 17 minutes of this game, they're going to be in good shape. You cannot let Western get out now and get to points in transition like they just did.
Louisville trying to improve to 4-0 with 2 free throws coming for Carleek Jones. Western Kentucky 2-1. They opened with wins over Northern Iowa and Memphis, and last Friday fell by 6 against West Virginia.
Carleek Jones has shown me the ability that he doesn't always need a ball screen to take that ball to the elbow and get in the paint. He's got a little quicker step initially with the ball. He gets the ball by that defender really well. Just a crafty old guard that knows how to play the game.
They get a college football triple header here on ACC Network for you this Saturday on the ESPN app as well. The Catamounts of Western Carolina take on the Tar Heels of North Carolina. 4 Eastern, it's Georgia Tech and NC State. And then Miami and Duke, a game with perhaps some ACC title game implications. As the league made some scheduling changes today, Notre Dame is in. So every year they've played for a conference title, Notre Dame has reached the conference title game. 1-for-1 sample size.
Yeah, Rhett Lashley, the offensive coordinator at Miami. I've known him for a long time. I was actually his PE coach back in the day when he was a 7th grader. He was a leader then. He's a leader now. He will be a head coach soon and has done a terrific job with that Miami offense this year.
Yeah, he rose to fame on Gus Malzahn coaching tapes before making his career in college football.
I hired Gus Malzahn back when I was the athletic director at that school. And Gus was my football coach, and Rhett came up playing in that system. But you could just see it when Rhett was young. That he had that it factor about him, even when he was 11, 12 years of age. Cooper has struggled in this game. He has really struggled now. Just the bad decisions in terms of trying to be a jump shooter when he's not. He's forced the ball. And again, when your point guard cannot shoot, the game gets hard on the offensive end.
Now Louisville doing a good job of keeping open space in the paint. That stretches the defense, gives them some room to attack. One-on-one in the paint. Jones with a miss from deep.
Yeah, the ball deserved to go in because it moved so well and got multiple touches.
Do you think Hollingsworth has been hampered by the taped-up left thumb?
Yeah, it could be because it's really heavily bandaged, and the elbow as well has bothered him. And now this is where he needs to live, talking about Bassey. Anything other than that for the next 8 or 9 minutes plays right into the hands of Louisville. Bassey in the box, on the box, owning the box. Western can get back in this game.
Yeah, Bassey comes in averaging 16 and 10 in just 25 minutes. And he's already got 9 points, 13 boards. He's the type of guy that could average a triple-double with blocks as the third category.
No, absolutely he could. And you asked me in the first half, how do you get him open? I don't think you can just set him on the block and post up and run a one-sided offensive play. You've got to get some movement. You've got to get Louisville's defense moving, get Bassey moving, but at the end of the play, get him around that restricted arc and let him go to work.
Jones nearly poked it away from Hollingsworth, who was looking inside for Williams. Instead, takes it himself. And the foul against the Hilltoppers, looking for the offensive rebound. But Bassey continues to be a force to be reckoned with.
Just such a huge target. Understands where the target hand should be. Well delivered. That's money for Western going forward.
/Donate. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today. Western Kentucky and Louisville inside the Yum Center with Jimmy Dykes. I'm Mike Cousins. Western Kentucky has slowed down significantly, and turnovers have started to bite them.
When you look at it, they've turned the ball over. Western Kentucky has now 14 times, okay? How's that occurring? Louisville only has 5 steals, so that's a lot of unforced turnovers that Western Kentucky has committed in this game. Good job by David Johnson. At that time, Western Kentucky was using drop coverage on the ball screen. 23 in red just kind of dropped with Johnson as he came off the ball screen. Johnson read it, kept the bounce alive, got himself to a scoring spot on the floor. He's played really, really well.
What kind of player can he, at his full potential, blossom into, do you think?
Well, I think he's at his best with the ball in his hands, and that's when Louisville took off last year, when they decided to make him the point guard because he's such a big physical kid getting downhill. And the ball's out of his hands a little bit more this year because of the addition of Carlik Jones, but I think he's growing into his new role. If he has a future in the NBA, it's as a big physical guard that takes care of the ball, not always a high scorer, but just does a lot of things that win you ball games with that big physical body, as does 23 in red.
Yeah, Bassey, the big physical forward, up to 11 points, 14 rebounds. You said it as we were in our last time out. He could very easily finish this game with 20 boards.
Yeah, he could if he stays on the power part of the floor. The three-point shot for Louisville continues to drop. You heard him talking in the studio at halftime. Can Louisville continue to shoot the ball at a high clip? Well, they're 6 out of 12 from the three-point line. They came in tonight after 3 games, only making 5 per game. They've already gone past that number tonight.
Williams put it on the deck and had it taken away by Johnson.
Not the best game by our guy Carson Williams. Been sped up a little bit, but with 14:25 remaining, he can still be a big factor. He's a terrific ball player, 22 in red.
Just 3 points for him so far. That three-point attempt from Johnson just clips the front of the iron. Louisville still leads by 8 over Western Kentucky. Frampton steps into it and doesn't get the roll.
Nothing wrong with a look. I mean, that's what Frampton's on the floor to do. I mean, Bassey was running down the middle of the floor trying to get an offensive rebound position.
Great takeaway by McKnight to strip it away from Jones with a jump step into the lane. And a whistle late at the end of that play.
Davion McKnight he literally just forced himself to the rim because he never had numbers coming down. But for a freshman, he has a downhill, bully you, put fouls on your team style of play. Was the 2020 Kentucky Mr. Basketball out of Shelbyville Collins High School, a lefty right here. He really has nothing. There's 2 white jerseys back, but he does not give up on the play and just strong arms bullies his way to the rim.
Foul was on Jalen Withers, his 3rd. And he showed right away, Jimmy, that he was ready for the college level. He dropped 21 in his debut.
Absolutely he did. Louisville has to continue to guard the ball in this game. Sounds simple, not easy to do, but if you're going to win ball games, hard ball games, you do the hard stuff and you do it well.
How about for Western Kentucky? Northern Iowa, Memphis, West Virginia, Louisville. 4 very different teams in their first 4 games.
Yeah, it's a variety of styles. Watch out. Yeah, he's wired to score. And if you're Louisville, you want to make sure that he doesn't get going. I know Bassey's a concern, but this is a kid, Tavion Hollingsworth, that will end up with almost 2,000 career points, moving to the top 5 for Western Kentucky all-time scoring. He can go on a 6-8-0 run in a hurry.
After Johnson sank into the start of his shooting motion, he goes with 8 on the shot clock. Nearly stripped by McKnight.
Rick Stansbury goes with a 2-3 zone.
An awkward angle. Dre Davis hits the short corner jet.
Yeah, good job by Davis not to panic and not to feel the shot clock pressure as he rose up. That's boy, a lot of young guys, they will feel the shot clock and kind of rush it and short arm it. Not by Davis. I really like this kid in terms of understanding the culture of Louisville and Chris Mack. That young man from Indiana understands it very well. The kind of guys that Chris Mack wants to have when he goes to war, I promise.
Aiden Igehan called for the foul underneath the basket. Bassey got down there, got great position, and Igehan grabbed him from behind. But number 22 in white, perhaps one of the better matchups to guard Bassey. He might be the strongest pound-for-pound player in the ACC.
Yeah. But he has to play low and strong and win the battle from the waist down on Bassey.
Corner look, drops for Kevin Osawe.
That was almost an impossibly hard shot because he actually drove himself into the baseline and got behind the backboard when he took the shot. That's about a 22% shot that just went in.
Yeah, how often does a guy make his own shot more difficult?
Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
Approaching 12 to play in Louisville. The Cardinals up by 6 over the Hilltoppers. In traffic, rebound goes off of Igehan and belongs to Western Kentucky.
We have a timeout on the floor.
You know, Bill Murray's in the house right now in the Young Center. We saw that, right?
We did.
Yeah.
It's a big night every night when your son's on the bench.
Scrooge, Groundhog Day, Ghostbuster. Listen.
Well, Bill Murray at times has been America's biggest fan of Xavier, of Rhode Island, of Towson, of Wagner, and as of late, where his son Luke is in his 3rd year as an assistant with Chris Mack, he is the biggest Louisville Cardinals fan in the house tonight.
Looking at his phone, Bill Murray, you have to wonder, who is he going to call?
Ghostbuster. And you know, when you're in the bubble and you're living in the hotel next door, it can start to feel like Groundhog's Day a little bit over the course of the beginning part of this season, right?
Yeah, what a beautiful person. Saw him during the timeout. Took the time to take a selfie with a couple of 2 or 3 fans, and stars like that, man, they have a great feel for people, and certainly Bill Murray does.
Along with Jimmy Dykes, Mike Cousins, glad you're with us tonight. Second half, Louisville trying to improve to 4-0 to open the season. Western Kentucky a 2-1 mark through their first 3 games. The freshman McKnight from the top of the key scoops with the left hand and will go to the free throw line to try for 3.
Good player, really good player going forward. A downhill driving dude, and that kind of sums up Western Kentucky, how they play when they're at their best. Just gets a little bit of a gap to go right down the right side of the pipe and moves his big body to get off of the defender. And that's how Western Kentucky can get right back in this game. Without Bassey on the floor, that low post could open up just a little bit, allow some drive to take place.
And he caught Igehan out of position and gets him charged with his 4th foul.
(1-3-1) out of Western Kentucky. They 1-3-1, 2-3. They'll go zone to man, man to zone, and it doesn't matter when Dre Davis just rises up and fires.
Right over the top of it to keep it a 7-point edge.
Bassey's not on the floor, so Carson Williams is your low post threat, 22 in red. But this offense now should open up and allow drive opportunities for the team in red.
McKnight sends it to his right for Osawe.
Yeah, that's good defense by Louisville. They sat in a stance. They didn't take the cheap way out and have switches that weren't necessary.
Davis started on the perimeter, spins, and shows deft touch getting to the rim.
I said in the first half that he comes out of a system where his dad was the assistant coach, but he was not spoiled at all like a lot of guys are through AAU ball and high school ball. The kid knows how to work, and he knows how to make winning plays.
Dre Davis has been very sharp. 14 points to lead Louisville, 6 of 7 from the floor. Out of bounds and last touched by U of L. Friday, 2 more men's college hoops games for you right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. UNC Greensboro takes on Louisville for what should be an intriguing matchup. UNCG, 4 straight 20-win seasons. They've got Isaiah Miller, the reigning SoCon Player of the Year, and then Kent State takes on number 15 Virginia, a winner earlier today. Those games Friday, 2 and 6 Eastern on ACC Network and the ESPN app.
Yeah, the ACC loaded up again. You got Duke tonight in the Champions Classic, North Carolina in the finals of the Maui Invitational. Virginia, you know Virginia's going to be fine when it's all said and done.
Oh, I thought San Francisco was going to the Final Four.
Yeah, maybe they will, but I know Virginia has a chance to be there as well. And Florida State with Leonard Hamilton, just you know what you're up against. It's not going to change. Maybe as good of culture and belief in terms of how we play the game in terms of Florida State under Leonard Hamilton.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to see them play just yet because of games scrapped off their schedule. They're scheduled to open tomorrow, so hopefully we'll be able to see that team debut for the 2020-21 season.
Yeah, he's got a big-time freshman, Scotty Barnes, one of the best freshmen in college basketball, I believe, going in. This year's freshman class, Mike, across the country is loaded, especially at the guard and the wing spot. And this could be one of those classes that a lot of one-and-dones and maybe as good as we've had in the last 10 years.
And it's interesting here as we see Bassie on the ball, 23 in red, who came in the class of 2018. A lot of people thought he might be a one-and-done player, but here he is now in his junior season. Part of that because he had a leg injury that ended his season early last year, just about this time, December 7th. Projected by many to be a lottery pick, if not a little bit later in the first round. But of the guys who came in ahead of him in 2018, most are gone.
Yeah, he probably would have been gone had he not had that injury last year. Davis gets hit right there, right? Just a reach by Frampton, whacks him across the nose, and a tough kid that will... If you can see, just get it down to seeing 2 rims at this point, you're okay. If he's seeing 3 or 4, that's a problem. But get it down to 2, make your free throws, stay in the game. He was, you can't get a feel for him on TV, but his body, man, that's a real deal right there. 6'5", I don't know what they list him weight-wise. 215, 220, I'm sure, but he has a physical style, wakes up wanting to foul someone type attitude about him when he plays the game.
And Louisville up by 10. So as we mentioned, that class of 2018 for Charles Bassie, he was ranked 18th in that class. And here's all the players ahead of him who have ended up with professional organizations. That's a pretty good group.
Isn't that something that they're all gone? They're all in the league in some form or fashion, with the exception of Bassie in that 2018 class. But, you know, guys are on their different path. They run a different race with a different pace. He will be on that list a year from now.
Bassie at 6'11", 235, originally from Lagos, Nigeria, went to a couple of different high schools, but has found success in Bowling Green, Kentucky with the Hilltoppers. Can they pull themselves back into this?
Not if they keep throwing it to the wrong team. Western Kentucky now has 16 turnovers in this game. And defensively, they're not putting any pressure on Louisville. Louisville moving the ball very cleanly in this game, Mike.
Bassie runs the floor. It gets stuck between the rim and the backboard. Well, and another issue, too, for Western Kentucky has been a poor shooting day from 3. They're 3 of 17 and have not connected on any of their last 10 from beyond the arc.
Yeah, their supposed marksman, Frampton, the transfer from Davidson, 1 out of 5. I mean, at some point you got to make shots when that's your job. You don't have to make them all, but you can't miss them all.
Bassey, travel.
Yeah, that's Louisville's defense now really playing well. They are tight. They are staying in that lane. They're playing with an open stance. They're not losing vision of the ball. I said it early, but yesterday in that film session with Louisville, Chris Mack was on point with his staff in terms of sending the message, being real, being very clear about how they're supposed to play the game defensively in this culture. And it went right to heart.
So how would you say he feels about being 3-0? Is it happy or more hungry?
Chris Mack?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's hungry right now. And even if they were 3-0 blowing people out, I know his personality. Hungry as a coach. Not going to change.
After we're done here, Kelsey Riggs and E.J. Manuel host In Play tonight. A special interview with Doug Flutie. This day, 36 years ago, he was named the Heisman Trophy winner. And a look at the second college football playoff rankings. Which two ACC teams are in the top four? Where do they stand? They'll give you all the insight you need to know. Coming up next here on ACC Network with Kelsey and EJ. We got 8 minutes to play inside the Yum Center. Louisville leads Western Kentucky by 14. Mike Cousins along with Jimmy Dykes. And in the second half where the Hilltoppers have turned it over, they've gone cold from three. Louisville has been more than happy to take advantage.
Well, Louisville's going to have to fall apart to lose this game. If they just continue to play and execute like they have so far, they're in terrific shape. What do I mean by that? They got to get the shot off, by the way. They are defending without fouling, Louisville is. Western Kentucky is still not in the bonus. Western Kentucky on the road has only taken 3 free throws in this game. They led the nation last year in terms of making more free throws than you attempt. Not the case tonight. Louisville's defense has been terrific, and it's been clean, and it has not fouled.
Johnson with the drive and a lowered shoulder. It's an offensive foul against the sophomore point guard.
A better job of Western to get on the right side of Johnson. I said in the first half, he goes right and righter. And you have to sit on that thing and know that you can pick one up on him if you can. I've been told through Twitter, so I can't verify it, that a scene from Stripes with Bill Murray was filmed on the 2nd Street Bridge about 15-20 feet from the Yum Center.
Well, I need to octuple check anything that I see on Twitter, so I'm gonna need 8 sources before I can verify that.
That doesn't sound like something that you would make up, you know. I'm going to say that that's true. That is true. We have confirmed it. That is true. Someone in my headset said that is true, so it's true. And what is true is Louisville, in terms of how they played this game, it all started a little over 24 hours ago in their practice facility when Chris Mack got their attention.
Bassey inside. And there he goes to the free throw line. Foul on Igehan, and that finishes the day for him, his 5th.
This will only be the 4th free throw attempt for Western Kentucky. And it's not just in this game, Mike. When you go on the road, you win ball games not at home or away. You win ball games in the paint, on the glass, and at the free throw line. And Western Kentucky has not excelled in any one of those 3 spots tonight. In the paint, on the glass, or getting to the free throw line.
And Jimmy, to magnify that, Louisville hadn't been called for a 2-shot foul until this moment with 6:30 to go.
That's that defensive discipline and moving your feet, showing your hands, all the things that were covered in a hard film session yesterday after the Prairie View and A&M game. And before they moved on to the Western Kentucky, coach walked in and said, hold up. Before we go any further, there's some things that we got to get cleaned up from last night's game. And it was all eyes and ears for about 30 minutes. That's how you get better. The film doesn't lie.
Bassey heads to the bench, depriving the Hilltoppers of their post presence. From the devotion to accuracy department, foul there was charged to Jalen Withers, his 4th for Louisville, so Igehan still with 4 for U of L. A near bombastic finish from Igehan goes flailing to the opposite end. It turns into a finger roll deuce for Hollingsworth.
That's the only way that Western Kentucky can get back in this game. I said it earlier, they've got to get out in transition because they are struggling in a mighty way to score against that Louisville set defense.
Their pressure is on. The pass tipped away by Frampton.
Yeah, Rick Stansberry knows it as well, so he's going to a press, just trying to scramble the game a little bit right now, get on a 6-8-0 run and put some game pressure on Louisville, because that set defense from Louisville, it's not going to break now. It ain't going away. It is tight and clean tonight.
Jimmy, how does a coach decide that based on time, score, when you bring the pressure?
Yeah, I think you look up and, Mike, at some point you say, I have to do something as a head coach to change this game. If I don't, things aren't going to clear up for us. And Rick's been around a long time, so defensively is where this change has to make some headway for Western Kentucky right now. But then you have to follow it up with a make on the offensive end.
And it's clear tonight that the visitors from Bowling Green have been held well below what they're capable of doing. Their opener, they scored 93. Game 2, they scored 75. And their lowest output so far came last game in a loss against West Virginia when they scored 64.
Yeah, you just don't know. They played their tails off, Western Kentucky did, against a very physical, strong team that were all projected to finish in the top 3 or 4 of the Big 12 in West Virginia. And then they come in here against a Louisville team that's down to 8 scholarship guys. They really not know who they are yet with playing with young guys, and Louisville just popped them in the nose tonight.
So they do get Igehan for the reach there, and that is his 5th. So seeing a good amount of playing time tonight, given the additional injury of Samuel Williamson, who's out after he missed the game Sunday as well with that dislocated big toe on his right foot.
Yeah, I think Igehan played hard tonight. He's a 6'10", 245-pound guy. And when you have that kind of a body, if nothing else, you go in and you fight and you foul. And I think Igehan did both of those tonight.
Front end miss does nothing to aid the comeback effort for WKU.
Louisville has the coolest half-court logo of anyone in college basketball. Look at that Cardinal right there with Adidas sneakers on and dunking the basketball like that. That's as good as we have in college basketball. Name one better on the floor than the Louisville Cardinal logo at midcourt.
There's nothing that immediately comes to mind. I think the Duncan Cardinal is awesome, but I also love the baseline font that gives you a tribute to the city flag of Louisville, but also the font that reads Louisville across the baseline is a throwback to the scorer's table at Freedom Hall.
Nice. It is a big-time facility. I was sitting in it yesterday all by myself waiting for Western Kentucky to arrive. It has a pro feel to it when it's full. It's as good as any arena in college basketball, but in terms of the logo power rankings, that's #1 right now.
Right, you can have your tricked up courts with designs all over them. Just give me one simple, fun logo, and I'm good.
Not sure what the call was, but Louisville, they sprint now. They fight each other when they're playing well to take charges. It's normally not just one guy trying to get in position to take the charge. That time Jones comes over and does it, but you go back and watch the last couple of games, there will be plays where Louisville, they are fighting each other to get to the charge spot. That ain't good.
Getting right into the lane, Tavion Hollingsworth takes the bucket and a walk to the stripe.
The foul on Carling Jones, his 2nd.
Well, he's on pace to have played the most minutes in Western Kentucky history, just a few games this year. He and Carling Jones are going to be the marathon men of this game. Jones hasn't come off the floor yet.
That's what Hollingsworth is throughout his career. He has averaged 35 minutes a game every game since he was a freshman. That is a durable kid, number 11 in red. And this Western Kentucky has not played well tonight. Louisville's had a lot to do with it. But again, this is the preseason pick from Conference USA. I expect them to be in the NCAA tournament. And they just got knocked in the nose tonight by a very hungry, determined, focused Louisville Cardinal Ball Club.
They force a 10-second violation to get it back. They've been on the road for quite some time, too, because they opened with the Bad Boy Mowers Classic in South Dakota, and then from there came straight down here where they've been waiting to take on Louisville. Reverse lay-in, Hollingsworth.
That was a foul. I mean, it was clear contact on the back of Hollingsworth. I told you Rick Stansbury tried to change the game a couple of minutes ago with his defense. And it might be a little late, but all of a sudden you look up and it's a 13-point game if my Arkansas math is right.
There's simply no way to know how many points it is, but we'll figure it out when we come back as Western Kentucky tries to put the pressure on Louisville. A prime women's hoop showdown for you, 6 Eastern Thursday here on ACC Network. Number 24, Michigan, squares off with Notre Dame, coming off their first win of the season and hoping to get back to full strength. A shortened roster for Niele Ivey in the first couple games. It's Michigan, Notre Dame, Thursday, 6 Eastern, ACC Network. And if you're out and about, fire it up on the ESPN app. 3:41 to go as Louisville looks to start the season 4-0, trying to take down Western Kentucky. Making the trip about a couple days ago, coming from South Dakota. Normally it's a bus trip from Bowling Green here to Louisville. The lead 13 for the Cardinals with 3:26 to go. Contact in the lane, a whistle and a foul. We'll take you down the home stretch right after this. Louisville trying to close things out over Western Kentucky, up 62-49. As they come out of this timeout, let's take a look at tonight's Player Spotlight, brought to you by Geico.
Yeah, he's been really good. Talking about David Johnson, and he's only taken 10 shots to get his 17 points. He's made a couple of threes. He's gotten the free throw line 8 times. He's been a kind of a fallible guy tonight because he's been, in my estimation, the most aggressive guy on the floor for the entire ball game. He's gotten in there and 5 defensive rebounds, 6 assists, and just a really good 37 minutes. Leads both teams in minutes played. That's the one stat, Mike, that coaches control. How many minutes did you play? Everything else they can't control. They can't control how many minutes you play, and that's the trust that Chris Mack has had in David Johnson tonight.
Preseason all-second-team pick in the ACC, and coming off a really solid performance last time out where he had 19.6 assists. They get it underneath for Jalen Withers.
No, I say good look, but the guy's wide open. I mean, Western Kentucky just defensively on that play. No attention, no care, no fight.
It could be both. It could be a good look as he's wide open. That's why you made the right choice.
It was. Yeah, but that was an easy one. Just a short roll initially turned into a roll that got all the way to the rim, and you've got to tag that guy rolling out of that ball screen. And I mean, you got to tag and hit him hard. I can't even remember the last time I saw a defender get called for a foul because he tagged the roller in too physical of a style. They don't call it. You can't go over there and just swipe air.
If you were to give a grade 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, 1 the worst, how disciplined has Western Kentucky been?
Probably a 5. You know, just in terms of the offensive discipline of where they want the ball to go tonight, especially in the first half, and how you're supposed to play the game on the road. And it's early in the season, and Rick's had to face a lot of different styles, but he will figure it out. This would be a terrific learning curve for Western to come in here against a well-coached and especially a juggernaut defensive team tonight that Louisville was. And Western is having one heck of a time scheduling, by the way. I was even trying to help them last night with some phone calls because how they looked in South Dakota, knowing that they're picked to win their league and is the presence of Bassey. They have been told no by about every power conference team out there in terms of we will come play you. And just time and time again, they are told, no thank you, we think we have found someone else. And that's the respect that this Western Kentucky team has right now on that basketball landscape.
There are schools, you look up and down the Division I schedule on a given night so far this year, there are schools playing institutions I never heard of before.
Just to get a game in. That's a turnover. One of the few mistakes that Dre Davis has made tonight. I think he grabbed the ball, went inbounds and out of bounds. on his own. And you look back on this game, had Western Kentucky maybe changed their defense to try to disrupt the game 2 or 3 minutes earlier, this thing might be a single-digit ball game right now.
Instead, Carlik Jones continues to rebound well, push the pace. Dre Davis, 2 free throws.
You got to finish that, don't you? I know the game's over, but you're out in transition with a big, strong body like that, and didn't just finish it off with a power, hard, and one. Kind of a finesse finish, and Coach will point it out to him.
What was your philosophy as a coach in scheduling? Would you seek out a team as talented as Western Kentucky?
Well, yes, in a normal year, and this is an uncommon time for all of us, but uncommon times, you have to have an uncommon response. So I think right now you try to schedule and get games in, knowing that, even a team like Western Kentucky, it wouldn't be a bad loss. These dudes can play with anybody. This is a really good win for Louisville tonight. And Louisville did not come in too cool, thinking we're in the ACC and this is a team out of our own state that's out of a lesser league. Louisville came in focused tonight for a fight, and they have brought it now for 39 minutes and change.
And this has got to be pretty motivating, I think, for Louisville, where they knew that there were going to be the injuries to Williams and Midland that were going to be guys out for a while. Josh Nickelberry is closer to a return than those two. But then to take you down to 8 healthy scholarship guys with Williamson out, and you're still able to put together a double-digit victory tonight like this, that's really promising.
Well, and this Louisville team's going to continue to grow and change when hopefully all healthy bodies get back. Well, what we're seeing right now won't be the same team that we'll see in mid-February. The Midland kid from San Francisco can really score. I had him last year at Gonzaga. But this is a terrific answer by a ball club when Chris Mack kind of questioned who they were yesterday in a really hard film session and practice. And he put it right on his guys and said, I'm tired of hearing the yes, sir, and I will get it done. Like, I need to see a response. And Chris Mack, I know, will go into his locker room and say, very well done. Without our defensive anchor, an older guy, and Williams still out with that foot injury and not knowing when he's going to come back, they responded to a hard, tough, fair challenge by their head coach, did Louisville tonight. I'm very, very pleased with what I saw with Chris Mack's club.
And there is no letdown in their schedule either.
No,
they've got
it shouldn't be.
UNC Greensboro coming up next. That'll be a Friday game, 2 o'clock, ACC Network. That is a very good team coming off of their 4th straight 20-win season.
They had balanced scoring tonight, did Louisville. They moved the ball really well. I think they're going to end up with 16 assists on 26 makes right now. The numbers are really good, but the eye test, how they played, how they looked, their body language, how they cared, how they fought, that's the stuff that matters. Forget those stats, man. How they played the game is the most important part of it.
Down 21, the pressure remains on. And the foul goes on Davis.
The offensive foul on number 4.
Oh, no, offensive foul, beg your pardon. So Anderson picks up the foul.
Western Kentucky only got to the free throw line tonight, Mike, 11 times. 11 times, and Louisville got their 18. So Louisville flipped it tonight, and Louisville made more free throws than Western attempted. And boy, you do that, that's a big sign in terms of how to win a basketball game. And that's how Western Kentucky has been built over the last couple of years. But tonight, Rick Stansberry sees that Louisville kind of flips that stat on him. That one's kind of hard to overcome.
And there was the concern about the slow starts for Louisville, which, the first 4 minutes of the game are not necessarily always going to be indicative of how the rest of the game goes. But you go back to the 8.5-minute mark of the first half, Louisville outscored Western Kentucky by 29 points.
Wow, that's and they got it done on both ends. Like I said, their offense was clean. They had 16 assists, only turned it over 13 times. Dre Davis was spectacular tonight. 21 points, only missed 2 shots. Was 7 out of 9. Made defensive plays, got hard-nosed rebounds.
And if you were to come into this game and say, and I were to tell you Western Kentucky would lose to Louisville by the same margin or thereabouts as Prairie View A&M, you probably would have told me I was crazy. That was a 22-point game.
Yeah,
This is a 21-point game.
You're exactly right.
And they'll get the chance to dribble out the clock here and finish things out. So Louisville will improve to 4-0. A date with UNC Greensboro here inside the Yum Center awaits on Friday. Western Kentucky, after its 2-1 start in South Dakota, falls to 2-2. 75-54 the final score. Thanks so much for being a part of it. On behalf of our entire crew, my partner Jimmy Dykes, Mike Cousins saying so long. Up next, it's Kelsey Riggs and EJ Manuel in studio.